Sorry, good afternoon. I'm coming to you early because I got something going on a little bit later, and I just felt it was important to come and talk about this today. Well, it's still fresh in my head because I can't tell you how annoyed I am, and like really quite worried. So, okay. I had reason to go to the doctors, and I don't know about your GPs, but you don't get an appointment, urgent or otherwise. You don't get to see anybody unless you go down and queue. So my surgery, you have to queue at um, 8 o'clock in the morning. They open the doors at 8, so usually people are queuing from about quarter to 8 because it's the 1950s. So normally people are queuing about quarter to 8. So I get there really early, and I'm in the queue wearing this. I'm so pleased I'm wearing this. And I then go into the doctors, and there's a couple of people who can't work out the computer, so I let them to go in front of me, and I'm in a queue of about 7. I'm about 7th in the queue. And as I'm getting closer to the receptionist, uh, woman, size 16 to 18, short hair, glasses, um, she I can see a trans badge. And I'm like, trans badge. Okay, this is going to be annoying. Although I'm wearing this, so I feel, a little bit like Batfink. Um, and then as I get closer, as I'm like 2 from the front, she's got he, him. Now, this is a woman that make my breasts look like uh, the smallest of Toblerones. Like she's a large breasted woman. Um, and she's a normal proportioned woman, right? So she's got quite big hips. You can see all this from her sitting down, and she seems friendly, and her voice is all friendly, and I get to the queue, and I see her read my thing like. Then she wasn't unprofessional. I don't want to cast aspersions here. She sort of she read my t-shirt, my jumper like this. Could see that she did a face of she can't react, right? But I saw I saw her eyes react. But she didn't wanna make it overt. She didn't, like, roll her eyes or, like, harden up, and her demeanor didn't change at all. I don't think any of those things. And then I go and have my appointment, and she's quite friendly, and she says, "Oh, what is it?" And I managed to get an appointment at 9 o'clock this morning, which was only, like, uh, 45 minutes from when I booked the appointment. And I go and have this appointment with the doctor, and as I'm leaving, I say, I j I just wanna check because I'm a campaigner. I'm probably one of the best known campaigners in the country, campaigning to stop the ideological capture of organizations such as this. I believe in a woman's right to autonomy and a woman's right to women-only spaces. And, um, and I just don't feel very safe because you now have an activist, on reception. It's a woman who thinks she's a man, and she has a trans badge on, and I don't know anybody who's involved in that side of the debate who isn't an activist first. So now I don't feel that this surgery is safe for me or my children. Look, I've known nurses, and I won't name the people that they've talked about, but when people they know have come in, like there was a famous man brought his girlfriend in who had something stuck in her anus. I'm telling you, that was a gossip. That was a story. These are like professional nurses. Um, Now that's completely confidential, right? But also people are human, and so I know. Sorry, just one moment. Um, I know that anything about me that's remotely juicy, um, or gossipy is fair for everybody to talk about. I know it will happen, and I know that the same for my children, that they won't be safe either. Um, So, anyway, so I'm quite annoyed at this point, and, so I say, "Look, I don't feel safe. Can that woman, can she see my medical notes?" Doctor says, he can see medical notes, yes. So I say, "Even in this room," this is what I'm talking about, "even in this room where she can't hear you, and where both of us probably know for sure that she's a female, you're using the language of her ideological cult." And so I just, how can I trust this surgery? I just said to her, "Look, you could have a Christian or a Muslim woman working there, like a Christian with a cross or a Muslim woman with a hijab, and none of those women will expect me to go along with their religion. None of those women will expect me to, I don't know, maybe they would. Maybe I'm not allowed to draw the prophet on whatever. But that woman will not demand that I also believe in God. That when I say the word Muhammad, that I don't say peace be upon him, or whatever it is they say, or that if the Christian woman, I just wouldn't be expected to do these things, and I'm really pissed off that this is where we are. That even at a doctor's surgery, like, she's front of house. Let me just tell you, I live in a town where median, the average income is not high. It's not high. The majority of people are on relatively low incomes. They live in small houses with leased cars. Nothing wrong with that. Most of the people in front of me were older, broad accents. These are not people that should be forced to go along with a woman who you like the way nothing would tell you she didn't think she was a woman. Nothing about her would not tell you, would give any message that she's anything other than a woman. I, 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 I don't even know what to do. Like, if I go to another surgery, it's going to be the same. It's a woman with a binder that, for Christ's sake, the binder must have been doing so much work but couldn't achieve it. Um, is she fit to be front of house? Like, and I was thinking about the other way round. I was thinking, what if I worked at that surgery and wanted to wear my adult human female badge? Would I be allowed? I bloody wouldn't. I absolutely wouldn't be allowed. It's it's nuts. So that's why I want to get rid of the Equality Act. Some of the left wing Hamas supporting socialist feminists, they think that it's bad that I want to get rid of a bad law. I don't. I don't think. Let me be really, really clear. I like my part. It's cost me so much money so far to try and get this freaking party registered. And part of the registration means that you have to go along with UK law, including the nuttery of equality and diversity inclusion, right? So you have to go along with the fact that you would not discriminate against somebody on the basis of their gender identity. I think that's insane. Of course, I should be able to. Of course, I should be able to think that the way someone dresses is not right for my business if I'm a front facing business. Of course, that doctor's surgery should be able to say to that silly woman that she is not allowed to wear a pronoun badge and she cannot demand of staff. Because now that's poison. That whole well is poisoned by this cult. So, whilst I signed up to support the current law, which I will support the current law, I'm not about to start breaking laws, right? However, I am telling you now, one of the first things I want to talk about with everybody with the Party of Women, which is why we need you more than we've ever needed you to replenish my coffers. Why we need you more than ever to support the work that we do, because we're the only bloody people asking for this. And we know that that's what we need. We know that we need gender identity to not be a thing in law ever, anywhere at all. I don't, it is not a point at which anybody should be afraid to say to someone, no, you look ridiculous. You can't wear that to work. Nobody's going to call you Janet, John, Sarah, or Trixie. You're not allowed to use the women's toilets. This is all based on the Equality Act and gender identity bullshit. And that is based on the fact that we even remotely consider gender identity a serious thing. And that is thanks to the Gender Recognition Act. Neither of those two laws, I don't care if somebody thinks it's a great idea to strengthen what it means to sex, whilst you still have gender identity in the Equality Act, whilst you still have the Gender Recognition Act in existence, you have no rights. That woman has a perfect right to demand that everybody in that office pretends they think she's a man. The two toilets in the doctor's surgery are both unisex. Both of them are unisex. Do you know what they were both? They both had toilet seats up with pee all the way around the toilet. Both of those toilets. Why? Because there's so many men. There's so many men. Somebody says, you were going to get trans applying for jobs in your party, then telling the cops when and if you refuse. Bring it on. Bring it on. I'm quite happy for everybody to try and do whatever they want to try and silence me. It hasn't worked so far. And if anything, every time they have a method that they use to try and silence me, it just makes me stronger in my resolve. It makes me far more creative in the things that I do. I'm well aware the risks of having a political party and what that means, which is why I've spent an absolute fortune on a constitutional lawyer to draft the Constitution so that we actually push this through. It's in 2 months' time, it'll be a year since I first applied. I mean, it's crazy. It's a captured organization, and I hate to say it. I agree with KJK mostly, but trans people are entitled. There's no such thing as a trans person. There is no such thing as gender identity. There is no such thing as a trans person. Entitled to what? Dignity and respect? What does that even mean? I deserve the dignity and respect of not pretending that I think that something exists that absolutely does not. I deserve the dignity and respect, just like any other woman on this planet, to go in a space without fearing that there's men inside of them. Dignity and respect, like, shove off. Just absolutely can't abide any of this. Look, the reason I'm not signing letters along with everybody else, the reason I'm not joining in other big projects where I am invited. I'm often not invited, but sometimes I am invited. I hold this line and I hold it really tightly. And I just am not interested in these fake, nonsensical, ideological positions where we pretend that a trans thing isn't actually a thing, or that gender identity really exists, or that we can just tinker with the Equality Act and then magically it's going to be right for women. As long as you have gender identity existing in the Equality Act, it isn't right for women. It can't be right for women. As long as we have other protections, which might bring in things like Sharia law, it can't be right for women. None of this is right for women. Look, we've made our laws in this country. We now need to eradicate the word gender from them. We now need to ensure that all of these little things that drive a small, tiny perforation through what we know to be right and true and sane, all of them, every last one of them has to be sealed. We have to make them go away. We cannot exist on the basis of a flawed foundation, which all of it is. What use is the Equality Act to women if in it pretends that a man's gender identity is also not to be discriminated against? Like, that's why, this new thing that just happened with the woman taking them to court for sexual discrimination, that's why that is a much better pursuit as far as I'm concerned. Sex discrimination is much better than, any of the other things which are judicial reviews or all these things that cost so much money. I think what should have to happen is that if you want justice on the basis that your rights are being, um, uh, uh, challenged or at risk, I think sex discrimination is it. I think sex discrimination is what you need in schools to stop them teaching this gender identity bollocks. That's what we need. Um, so no, it's in my constitution. We have written it. It is in my constitution that we have to abide by the law about no discriminating against anybody. Um, sorry, I was just answering someone in the chat. So anyway, that's what I want to say. I want to say that I do think I do think that we should be able to discriminate against people who want to enforce their ideological nuts, crazy cult down your throat and go along with it. I do think at the point of hire, that woman, when she walked in the room and it was known that she was pretending to be a man on a badge and on paper, if nowhere else, I do actually think that that should mean that she's instantly not fit for a job. Um, that's what I think. I think the anti-discrimination laws are crazy, and I'm bound by them until I change them. But you know, there are many reasons to employ or not to employ someone. Um, and I think if they come to work pretending to be someone that they're not, I think that is a good enough reason. Martin, you can read the Constitution on the Electoral Commission website. But look, we're not registered yet. We'd like to be registered if you want to help us do that. Because I just think who else is speaking like that? Who else in politics is speaking? Even the politicians that you all celebrate don't speak about repealing the GRA. They talk about strengthening the Equality Act, or they might talk about, they're proud of their trans, blah, blah, blah. Or they might talk about, nobody should be discriminated against. And they do all this stuff because they're politicians, because they're bound by their party, because they have to pretend that there's something that they're not. Um, you know, eh, like I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend that I don't want any discrimination. Blah blah blah. No, 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 no. I will abide by the law, but as far as it goes, I want it changed as of yesterday. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Um, Jimmy G, I am the only party that is talking about this single issue. I'm the only party where none of their people have used preferred pronouns. Um, and no, this is a women's party. This is not a dissenting party. This is a women's party where we focus on women's issues. And oh my God, are there enough of those issues to actually focus on? But the first thing we need to decide is that we know what a bloody woman is. And we know what a woman is, and that excludes anybody that was ever born with a penis. So yeah. Anyway, um, okay, I am, out of here. I'm so incensed. Just I can't quite believe that we're in a position where even a doctor's surgery that should be a place of absolute professionalism, confidentiality that I really don't feel anymore that my own doctor's surgery has either. I can't trust a doctor to diagnose something who uses preferred pronouns for some fool of a woman who pretends that having short hair means that she's a he, him. Um, we are going to have to stop this. And I'm afraid when I look around, I might be the only person who can. We might be the only people who can actually do anything about this. We might be the only people who are seeking a big enough platform to actually sort this out. This is not podcast interviews. This is not getting on sort of minor news channels. This isn't even about getting on the BBC or ITV. This is not about having the most subscribers. This is none of those things. This is about sitting on panels and holding people to account. And this is about saying the things that we all say, but most people, once they get their hands on any amount of power or influence or responsibility, they totally wet the bed. They totally just shirk their responsibilities. They can't do it. They are more intoxicated by the power and the influence that they hold than the principles that got them there in the first place. That's all I'm saying. Um, Someone says, "I'm surprised that you're surprised." I'm just surprised that it's look, I live in a small, inconsequential town, that where people should just know better. There aren't people living luxurious lives where things don't matter here. Or if there are very few. Most people go to work and get their hands dirty. Most people are trying to make ends meet. Most people can barely afford their mortgage or their car repayments. Don't tell me that I shouldn't be surprised. I'm permanently in a state of shock surprise, although not about Monroe. Anyway, if you can look, we we don't normally ask here. I don't normally ask you to come and join in and to support with your hard-earned cash. And I know some of you don't have much of it spare. I don't usually ask you to dip your hands in your pockets and just buy some bloody merchandise, but I'm gonna have to because this fight is expensive and unlike everybody else, I don't have huge, generous benefactors. I don't but I'm asking for the earth. I'm asking for everything that we've ever wanted. I'm asking for everything. I'm not asking to be polite. I'm not asking to be liked. I'm not asking so that people think I'm a really intelligent, wonderful kind of woman willing to compromise. I'm none of those things. I'm not willing to compromise. I'm asking for what I'm asking for, which is what I think we deserve, which is all our freaking rights. And I'm asking one of those rights is that we don't have to use this stupid bloody language. Can I email when I post or email when I'm going live? Probably not. I'm not that organized. Anyway, if you can, put your hands in your pockets, deep or be they shallow. I would be much obliged. Stickers are in tomorrow. I can't wait. If you can come to Exeter, which is the second to last Saturday of the month, and you can stand up and be counted, and by goodness, you better come. Then I promise we will win. And do you know why else we're going to win? Because I never